afternoon, everyone. It's Pete here from the Pain Toolkit, and this is the very first time. Welcome to the very first Zoom live that we're hopefully doing. We'll do a few more, see how they go, really. And there's Katy there, over in Australia. There. Good morning to you, Katy. It's good. Is it good morning to you, Katy?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I talked to you the other day. I'm in the UK, aren't I?
Oh, uh, I say I've got too many Katys in my life.
I'm an
Oh,
Essex
Yeah,
girl, like
I
you're an
remember now.
Essex boy.
You're an Essex girl, weren't you? You were over in West Essex, like the posh part. Anyway, I'm just welcome everyone. So, welcome everybody, I say, to the Pain Toolkit first, one of many, hopefully. And what this is about, it's only going to be 30 minutes, but it's really taking questions on about pain self-management. And so, hopefully, now with me today is Keith Meldrum over there in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. And Dave Oxley there, who's over in Bedfordshire, I believe, Dave, is it? It is Bedfordshire, isn't it?
no, I'm just over the other side in Buckinghamshire in Milton Keynes.
Oh, the
Yeah,
posh
I'm
one.
in the posh
Okay.
side as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So, anyway, so Katy, you're one of our first people to join us. Have you got any questions you want to ask us about
Oh
self?
no, I was going to listen in on everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that. I've got some questions here that people have actually sent me.
Oh, nice.
I can ask if that's useful. Would you like that?
You can give me some hints on pacing. I'm not very good on pacing. I'm
Pacing.
still not
Okay,
very good
then
on
look.
pacing, even after our conversation.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll hand over to rather than you've heard a little bit from me. So what I'm about to hear from what the two lads here, Keith and Dave, about pacing. What do they do about pacing?
All right. Well, hi, Katie. It's nice to meet you.
Right,
Thank you for
nice to meet
joining
you
us.
too.
I'm very for it's a beautiful sunny morning here in BC. We're already like 20 degrees. It's going to be about 27 or 28 today. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah. So the dog's out on the back deck enjoying the sunshine. So pacing. So yeah, one of those like really important things, but probably harder to do than to talk about. And like though many of us who've been living with pain for a long time, you get caught up in, I think, a lot of the psychology behind you want to do things. And when you have a good day, you kind of like try and make up for the days that you can't do things. And so we go through, as Pete always calls it, the boom and bust cycle. And we get
Yep.
the peaks and the valleys. And I've been doing this for nearly 40 years, and I still have to whack myself in the head. And when I want to just get in there and go for it, I need to like remind myself I got to back off or I'm going to pay for it. And it's for me, it's hard because there's the emotional component of like I really want to do something. I want to help, I want to be helpful, I want to be independent, or all of those different things. But it robs us so much of our energy capital and then ultimately increases our pain. So it's it's so important to be able to get through our lives in a more sort of flat way instead of the peaks and the valleys. But I think it's hard to kind of wrap your arms around it sometimes because you just, for me anyway, you want to be the person that you want to be and you want to do all of these things for everybody. Um, so it's hard, but it's really important. And the best thing that I can do is when I'm getting caught up in those, like I want to get going, is to just stop, take a moment, and remind myself that if I push myself, all I'm going to do is harm myself, and then I'm no good to myself or to the others around me. So.
So that's good with me for day-to-day stuff. But then
Mhm.
I might not see, so I might not see friends for a long time, and then I get three invites in a week, and it's like,
Oh, yeah, right.
what do you do with things like that? And they're people
Well,
that you don't see very often, and actually, you know that for your mental health, it'll be a really good thing to see these people. But
yes, even makes it harder, right? Because social connections
yeah,
are so important,
yeah,
for me. And so you're right. Then you have these opportunities, and you need to have those because that social connection is so important to your mental
yeah,
health, which I believe is then important to your physical health.
exactly.
So yeah, so you get three invites, maybe you pick one or maybe two, or if you do all three, you only go for half the amount of time that you want to.
Yeah,
And again, it's really hard because, especially the social ones, because you get so much energy and uplift from it. But then
Exactly.
you crash afterwards because you've expended all of that in that wonderful time.
Then you might not
So
get another invite for another 2 months. So it's like,
right, yeah, right. And so you want to make the most of it. And it's
yeah,
really hard when you're in that moment and you're like, I should probably go because I'm going to pay for it, but I haven't seen people in 2 months and I want to stay. That is the sort of that discipline and that resolve that we have to have and say, as important and as good as this is for me right now, I really
yeah,
need to be mindful of what it's going to do to me later.
yeah,
It's those are the hardest parts. Those are
yeah.
really the hardest parts. Yeah. Mhm.
Day-to-day posting, I'm pretty good at. It's all the other stuff that comes into it.
Right. Yes. No, understand completely. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can always suggest something different for the meetup. You know, if they say, let's go and have a meal, and you think, well, sitting down for so long and having a meal is going to be
Yeah,
too much, you can say, well, actually, I'm not feeling too great today. Why don't you come round mine? Then you can make yourself comfortable, and you have people to make you tea and coffee that have come into your house, and you just need to point them in the right direction. So,
Nice.
you know, you can twist things and
yeah.
manipulate things.
I do that, to be honest. And now I've got good
Mhm.
friends that do that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
And then the other one is, you know, if you're determined I'm going to do all three this week, then you know it takes planning. So you'd have to plan your week, knowing that on the days when you meet people, because hopefully it's not all three on the same day,
yeah,
you don't plan to do anything else.
yeah,
You know, you come home and you go, I'm going to have a rest
yeah,
because
Mhm.
I've done something today. I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm not going to do the washing. I'm not going to do the ironing and all these
Yeah.
other things that are never ending. It's just a case of my activity today is that.
yeah,
Tomorrow is another day and I will start again.
yeah.
And then just don't beat yourself up that you haven't done all of the stuff that you would normally do when you weren't out, you know,
Yeah.
seeing your friends.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it goes all comes back down to like management, really.
My drive's too high, I've been told. So
Sorry again.
my drive's too high, I've been told. I've got to wind the drive back in because I keep, yeah,
Yeah, and
And
but also it's important to say to have that confidence. If they're really good buddies, like they'll understand that you've got to do things, or we have to do things a little bit
yeah,
differently,
yeah,
and saying, listen, great, thanks for the invite and etc. But at the moment, I'm trying out new things, and okay, can we kind of put you off? I've got three, people, some people want to come round, but I want to try something new. Can we do one, get you in this week, and
yeah.
then I'll put off the other two for the next week or the week after, something like that. It's about management, really. So,
I
but
do that, but obviously life happens and people can't always do all
well,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
And then
see,
you've got to realize that it's going to affect you if it does.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
same thing.
fine.
Otherwise, it's the
Yeah,
management sort of
yeah.
thing. It's
yeah,
it's if we do too, we're overthinkers, we're overdoers,
yeah,
and the thing is, until we get our head round it. I mean, I have to really like Keith and Dave said. It's um, until we get our head round it, we're just going around in circles, really. So and so what self management does, it gives you those extra skills, life skills, to manage our life a little bit better in spite of pain, sort of thing.
yeah,
Otherwise, our little noodle up there, thinking that, oh, seeing loads of friends at one time, is, well, that's a no go. I won't see friends at all,
yeah.
So it's talking about spacing it out. If they're good buddies, they'll truly
I've
understand.
got a lot better than I was, but just there's odd moments where you're
Yeah,
like, maybe not.
You said something that I think is really really important. You talked about your drive. You got
Yeah,
to really hide. So again, we live in the world of catch 22s, I think. That drive is such a positive and can be a benefit because it is the thing that allows you to reach inside and tap into your resilience and do the things that you need to do. But it can also be the thing that'll trip you up because you can say, I can do this, which
yeah,
is overdoing it. And I really think one of the hardest things is the sort of that psychological component of being able to say, to be able to get ahead of yourself a little bit and say, I want to do this and it's important, but that discipline of like, but I know I just need to scale it back a little bit, or like
Yeah.
Dave said, change it up a little. Otherwise, it's going to really, I'm going to pay for it. So
Yeah.
that drive is really good. It's a positive thing. It's how to harness it and steer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Learning to say no
Yeah.
is
Oh,
hard.
I've said a lot of no's recently.
Yeah, great,
Well done. Yeah.
well done,
Yeah.
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 I have to pull myself up, right, because these guys will tell you, I'm I'm off at the races all the time,
Oh, he's the Energizer Bunny. You got to
Yeah.
pull his battery.
Or posting IG videos.
especially especially I'm having a cup of tea in bed of a weekend. I don't know what it is. I already thinking, well, all right, we're going to do that, you know, and then off I go, and so I
Mhm.
have to watch myself, rein my neck back in, as they say. But anyway, did you find it useful?
I did. Thank you very much.
Right, so what? So we haven't got anybody else joining us at the moment, so I want to go to some questions that people sent in. So this person said, understanding pain management. What are the most effective strategies for managing persistent pain at home? How can I differentiate between pain that requires medical attention and pain that I can manage myself?
That's a good one.
Mhm. Um, so that's a really loaded question, and without knowing the person's sort of medical history,
Hmm.
all I can do is speak to my own experiences. Is after a while, and Katie, maybe you know this as well. After a while, you kind of get to know your pain. You know what your It sounds terrible, but you know what your regular day-to-day pain is, and you're like, okay, that's okay. It sucks, but it's okay. I know what it is. Having said that, it took me years to understand what that was because every time I moved in the early days, I thought I was tearing something apart and it was all bad. But once I started to understand what my pain was and how it worked, I could better understand, okay, this is my regular pain. I've kind of overwound up. I've done too much. I can do the things I need to settle it down. Because I used to be the guy who would rush into the ER and say, oh my God, it's so bad. Have a terrible experience with the doctors and never want to do it again. Um, and I think for most, and it takes a while to figure out what that is. And it's like, okay, this is bad, but it's nothing terrible versus something's different. Like this is not what I'm used to, and it's a new kind of pain, or it's like so much worse or something. And no, like I should probably have somebody check this out. Yeah, that's kind of my thought on that. That's a really good question, though. It's an important.
Anything to add, Dave?
No, Keith summarized it beautifully. He's doing exactly the same as I'm still learning to do after, what, 14 years.
Yeah.
And I still have my moments, like literally to this day. I mean, just the other day, I get something going on, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like it still happens. So
Yeah.
And don't
yeah.
Google.
No.
Well,
Oh no, never Google.
yeah,
Oh,
I've had to give up on that. But in the early days, I really did. I thought every tweak and pull was like a
Yeah, I did.
re-injury of my injuries, and then I had to like, no, I'm okay.
It's
It
just
just
a fear,
hurts.
isn't it?
It really is.
yeah.
Yes, it's that one of the hardest things that we have to learn how to manage are those psychological and emotional aspects, which, you know, that's not saying to people it's all in your head. It is all the fear and the concern that comes with it. Because who wouldn't be concerned about pain? If you're not, then you're kind of crazy. So,
Um,
yeah.
I think I think when for me as back in the day, the like any sort of pain was like to me was like a red flag, well, what's going on here, sort of thing. So I'd go into panic mode, etc. But what
Mhm.
I've learned, especially after the pain management program, and what we've included some of this information on the Pain Toolkit Academy. We talked about this quite a bit on the Academy course. Is that sometimes the pains that do sort of come up, like today, I've overdone it in the garden a little bit. I enjoy working in the garden. I was planting me tomatoes and stuff like that, and so my back's a little bit sore. Now, back in the day, I think, oh, whoa, bloody hell, get myself down to GPs and blah blah blah. But I know from experience is that it's just an old pace that, well, oh, well, I've overdone it. And so all I've done, I've done some stretching and stuff like that. See, it's going off now, like, So it's a learning process, like, that uh, about pain, like, pain's tricky, like, it's one of the little tricky health conditions, persistent pain, because it's trying to tell you there's something's wrong. Whoa, red flag, ding, 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 ding. But it's just an old like an sometimes I call it mischievous pain, like saying, "Hey, there's something going wrong here, Pete. Go on, you need to do something about it." Yeah, I did do something about it. I did some stretching and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and it's easing off. Like for me, I always remember like, years ago, I'd get out of bed one morning, I thought, oh, my back's really sore today, and anyway, I got put my stuff on, and I was going down the gym, and I was in my van, and I started laughing at myself because I'm saying to myself, oh, my life is so changed now. Because years ago, when I was experiencing pain like this, I'd be going down a GP surgery, but now I've gone down a gym.
Yeah.
I go down the gym because I knew to me, going down the gym would actually help the healing process a bit quicker, like.
Yeah, and because we've got persistent pain, you know, as Keith said, we kind of get used to it. But then we also get in the habit of not moving. And then when we do move, we get pain. So the other thing to do is to think about if you get a new pain come on, think about what you've done over the last 24, 48 hours, because our bodies react differently to pain to people that don't live with it all the time.
Yeah,
And it can take 24, 48 hours for it to materialize into our conscious because we're so good at blocking it out most of the time that we end up blocking out new pain as well sometimes. So don't panic is the first thing. Think back about what you've done. And then, as Pete says, go and do some stretching or something that you know will help you. But unless it's, a new acute injury, please keep moving
yeah,
because it'll only make it worse if you don't.
I like that. I think like right, don't panic. And I think probably for all of us, we've had those moments of
Oh, yeah.
panic because it's like just like you said, I got to go and get this fixed. And it's hard because it's a natural reaction to like take a deep breath and like, okay, let's just slow it down here a little bit and then figure out. And if it doesn't get better, then you're like, maybe there's something else going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. I like that. Don't panic. That's probably sums it up best.
Thanks, Keith.
there's another question here, really good one. This one about you. I like this one.
Oh no.
Self-management techniques. What lifestyle changes can I make to help reduce my pain? Are there any specific exercises or stretches that I can do to alleviate my painful condition? Can I jump in here?
Of course you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Um, for me, it's about lifestyle changes, doing things differently, etc. Um, it wouldn't be right for us today, I think, to say this exercise is great because everybody's differently. So what I always say when people email me with questions like this about what exercise to do, I say I think you need to see to get the right exercises a movement for you would be to see if you're in the UK, it'll be a physiotherapist in the America or sorry North America. Another place you may see someone called a physical therapist. Like so, it's best to get the right. See, the thing is, what it be wouldn't be right for us to say, well, this is what I do. You need to do this because everybody's different. So, Mary, you sent this message in. It's not the Mary we know, by the way, in Australia, but the thing is, Mary, is that go and see a physical therapist or a physiotherapist, get them to prescribe, so show the right exercise to do, get some, perhaps, I know now years ago they used to sort of show you stick men, like, but I think now they have videos there of how to do it and whatnot. So the best thing really is to see a physical therapist, but lifestyle changes, certainly, it's important because um, making time for self-management skills really. Getting up, I'll get up a little bit earlier now to do some stretching. Watch what you eat. avoid things, overdoing. I know I'll keep going on to it about it, but Dave, by the way, helps out on the Pain Toolkit Academy, and we talk about this, Dave, don't we? In on the Pain Toolkit Academy,
Yep.
where about what sort of changes, simple changes people need to do in self-management. The thing, what I like about self-management, there isn't one standard plan. It's that you choose a plan. You do. It's like a bit of a blank canvas, really, where you find out. We give some ideas what you can be doing, but you choose. It's like shopping for things. But again, what things I do self-management wise, you may want to tweak and do everything a little bit better. But Keith, I mean, have you got any tips about self-management techniques?
Well, like you, same thing. It's, every person's different. And we talk about this a lot. And the question was about, exercise. And I like to remind people and myself that it's more about movement, right? We talk a lot about meaningful movement. Some people, and it sounds like Mary is interested in exercise. And for me, I do traditional exercise. I had to figure it out on my own. But if you're not a person who likes to go to the gym or lift the weights and all that, find a way to move your body that really, really is meaningful to you. My wife is an avid gardener, and like she'll spend hours out there, and she probably gets more of a workout in her garden than I do with a gym session. Like she is just giving it. But she loves it and she moves her body. So it's finding a way to move your body that is meaningful to you, that doesn't exacerbate your pain. It might cause a little tweak here and there, and that's all going back to I'm okay, it's fine. We don't want to hurt ourselves, but sometimes you might get a little ooh. But it's finding that movement that works for you, and don't be upset if lifting weights or something isn't your thing. That's Everybody's different. And then lifestyle changes, little tiny changes make huge differences. There's some saying, I can't remember, I'll get it wrong, but if you're flying a plane and a 1 degree of course correction on a plane over its flight around the world will have like hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers of a change in that trajectory. So sometimes we get ourselves convinced, like, I've got to go all in. I got to make all the changes. I got to get exercise. I got to change my diet. I got to pick one thing, do it, pick something else. And those little changes add up over time. And it's slow, steady, and stick with it. Because if you try and do it all at once, it's probably where it's going to be a lot harder to be successful.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Keith. And I was going to say that point. So yeah, darn, you stole my thunder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But the other one is that, when you're not living with pain, you get up, you do something. It takes you 20 minutes, you're done. When you're living with pain, you might not be able to do it all in one go. You spread it over the course of a day or over 2 days. Does it matter if you do it now versus finishing it tomorrow? Yes, your head might go, hey, I know it used to take me 20 minutes. Change the mindset and go, hang on a minute, it hurts. I'm still doing it. And it took me twice as long, or it took me 2 days. You still did it. Yeah. Also, I mean, I've changed the way I cook. I now do one pot dishes wherever possible, because if I need to sit down, I can sit down and I can stir the one pot. I haven't got to move one round, move this round, turn that, do that. It just gets too much for me. So I do one pot meals wherever possible, or the stuff goes in the oven and I sit down and let it do the work. So, there are lots of little things that you can do, and we'll never list them all here. But, just think about, if doing that hurts, is there another way I can do it? Or does it need to be done at all?
Mm.
It might be you've always done this, but actually your life's not going to be any worse if you don't do it.
Mm.
So, you have to give up things as well as change the way you do things. And it's tough. It really is. I really struggled with this initially. And now if I can't do something because it hurts too much, first question is, do I need to do it? What's the worst that's going to happen if I don't? And then if I do need to do it, when does it need to be done by? And I'll go back to the planning that I mentioned to Katy earlier, and I'll plan how I'm going to get it done by the time that it needs to be done.
Katy, can I ask you?
It's a bit of a grieving process, isn't it, to give up
Yeah.
so I'm kind of out the other end of that a bit now, but I do understand that with the people it's quite hard to make that change.
What sort of changes have you made, Katy? Can I ask you?
gosh, my whole life is completely different than it was. So I used to
Mhm.
work 16-hour days and do what I want and be spontaneous. I can't be
Mhm.
spontaneous anymore. So I've got mobility issues as well. So that affects where I can go. So I've had to change where I can visit, and yeah, friendships change as well. Like some people step up and some people don't. So you have
Mhm.
to kind of get used to new friendship groups, and yeah, it's a big change. But I know it sounds awful. I'm happy. Well, it doesn't sound awful. It sounds good. There's bits of my life that are so much happier than they ever were before. I do a lot of mindfulness. I found that incredibly helpful. Breath work, meditation. So yeah, I've found stuff that's very woo woo, and I love it. But I totally wasn't woo woo before. So
Well, I like it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's funny
I
it's funny
sorry.
you say that because someone called Ron has sent a question in about uh, mental and emotional impact. How can I manage the anxiety and depression that often accompanies long-term pain? And what role does mindfulness or meditation play in pain self-management?
massive.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Um,
just backed up really.
I just wanted to mention before I offer my thoughts,
Sorry.
Katie, you talked about, grieving. That is so important. And sometimes people think that's a bit of a hyperbolic statement, but no, you
No,
grieve,
you
you
do.
have to go through because you are losing parts of the life that you had before. And to
Absolutely.
say that isn't grief is somebody is just they're not connected to reality.
Yeah.
So and it takes time and like you said, you've now found yourself coming through the other side, which some people it's harder. Some people, for various reasons, they're not able to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's grief. It absolutely is. So thank you for
It's hard
sharing.
work as well.
100%. Yeah.
You do have
Yeah.
to put a lot of hard work into doing all
Yeah.
the stuff to actually come out the other side, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
be open to things that normally, like you said,
Yeah.
like and this kind of goes to the question that Ron has is like years ago, I was told about, how breathing can really help your pain. And I thought that was a bunch of crap and that was stupid. And I fought it forever. And then when I tried doing it one time, I'm like, oh, actually, this really helps. So, because I was more like, well, it's my body and it's all physical and and like, no, your emotional and your psychological effects staggeringly impact your pain. So to
Oh,
Ron's
absolutely.
question, if we're able to find ways to make that space through mindfulness or meditation or breath work, whatever it is that resonates with somebody, such an important part of being able to manage your pain. Because when you get into those wind up moments, and back in the day when I would have those moments where I'd get wound up, I would run for help. Somebody stick a needle in me or fix it. And now my go-to is when it starts to wind up is to remove myself, take some time, find those deep breaths, just try and wind that sympathetic nervous system down because it's run away. And that's actually been one of my biggest tools and has helped me the most was just being able to take a deep breath and start to walk back from that twist up that's happening. So I've never been I've never been good at mindfulness because I try and then my brain goes all over the place. Like, what is mindfulness? What am I doing? And before I realize that I'm nothing
But
in
it could even be
mindfulness.
cooking. Like
Yeah.
Dave was saying, it can even be cooking, or I'm very creative. So doing
Oh,
artworks, brain just gets into the
oh. My wife's very creative too. And when she paints and stuff, like she goes into like this, she just disconnects and she
yeah,
goes into her.
do.
And I'm like, that's amazing. I wish I could do that.
But mindfulness could be gardening.
Yes.
It can be anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be meditating and
That's a very
alternative
It's a
stuff. It
very
can
good
be
point. And I
anything.
have a tendency to get caught up that I have to sit there cross-legged and sort of do all of this stuff. But no, you just have to find what allows you to have that space to just, and it's a lot about distraction, right? When you're doing the
Yeah,
thing that you love, your brain goes to that.
yeah.
And you find that the pain just kind of slowly moves into the background a little bit. So it's a really good question from Ron, Pete. And just like Katie said, it's finding those things that really are important to you and doing them.
Mm.
And to add to that, get a good gang around you. Yeah, Katie's mentioned her friends. Get some friends around you that
Mm.
you can unload on, and that are there to support you and aren't an energy drain. We are social animals. We don't live like ants anymore because, we've become civilized, as it were, and we've spread out, and so many of us live on our own. But if you don't have any social interaction at all, your mental health will suffer. And then the second thing which I used was go and talk to your GP. There's some brilliant medication out there. Yes, there's stigma, there's a certain amount of stigma, but go and chat to your GP. They might give you some medication, they might refer you for therapy. There's loads of options out there. The NHS has got stuff that you
They've
can
got a pain
contact
clinic,
straight
haven't
in
they?
the
They can
UK.
get you to access as well, sometimes the NHS in the
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah. So, there's plenty of help out there, and the trouble is that when the pain comes on and your head starts to go, you start to think you're on your own. And you are, because it's your pain, but you're not, because there are people out there like the Pain Toolkit, like other organizations, the people on this call that will be able to, at least talk to you. Won't be able to take your pain away, but we'll be able to share our living experience so that hopefully you can start to get hope. That's great grammar there, isn't it? You can hopefully start to see that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, but everyone's tunnel is its own length. And you're moving through on your journey, and it could be a short tunnel, it could be a long tunnel, but you're making progress each time. And then take time at the end of the day to reflect on what you've managed to achieve that day,
Mm.
because you'll surprise yourself with how much you've done, even when you think you've done close to nothing.
Yeah, there's
Well,
lots of help out there, talking therapies. Go to your GP or use I know they've got them in Canada now, the social prescribing.
Oh,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah,
you've heard of those, Ron. Um, I know I've got them. I definitely follow them on social media. Social prescribing in Canada.
yeah.
I know they're in the States, America, Australia, New Zealand, etc., and obviously here in the UK. But and they will be able to signpost you to the relevant people, um, especially if you've got problems getting to see a GP, etc. But just contact the local surgery, and they can signpost you to a social prescriber. And but they call them people at they call them talking therapy. So they're based around cognitive behavioural therapy, etc. CBT, where they can talk to you, so perhaps signpost you as someone who's doing that. And I think, like CBT, I found that helpful in the past as well. So, hey, listen, we come to the end.
Oh, sorry, Pete. One thing we've got
Of
to
course,
add on
got it.
this one that you've mentioned and Keith's mentioned, gardening or getting outside. Going outside and being surrounded by nature is a natural mood boost.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I
even if you
totally
need
agree with that.
somebody to take you there and then you sit on
Yes,
a
Dave.
chair outside,
Yeah,
doesn't matter. You're in,
yeah,
in nature as opposed
Yeah.
to inside a
yeah.
building.
Oh, brilliant, Dave. Absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
Uh, I saw, it might be a month or two ago, or I think it was on Instagram, where I think in Japan the doctors there would prescribe being outdoors,
Yeah,
and
Mhm.
I saw that as well.
and
I
I
think you sent it
reposted
to me.
it. Then people in Scotland said, "Yeah, we do that." Then I think someone else in Canada said it, and Australia, and
Mhm.
where the doctors do prescribe being outdoors, being with nature is good. Is really good for you,
Mhm. Yeah,
So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I've got my sliding doors open now so I can hear the birds outside. Although I'm
yeah,
staying inside, I can still at least get some part of it.
yeah.
yeah.
I was sitting in the
Love it.
garden earlier on, having a breather. Uh, I posted on Instagram watching the birds sort of
Hmm.
feeder
Hmm.
like, and
Yep.
where the where a couple of weeks ago it was interesting watching the I don't know what they call them, baby birds, the younger birds like being having to be fed by the older ones,
Fledglings.
parents.
Hmm.
And but now that I've seen out these younger birds, it's fascinating. Nature is watching the younger birds now who've just been born, that they're actually feeding themselves like from the stuff that I put out anyway.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So,
Yeah.
Ron, I hope you find that useful. Everybody that's sent in questions, sorry I wasn't able to get in all the questions today. We're just best anyway, but let us know. So it's been recorded this Zoom. So we'll organise another one and let you know. So stay tuned.
Thank you
So,
very much, everybody.
Right.
that's all
Thanks
right.
for joining us, Katie. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Nice
do
to
it
meet you
again.
too.
Yeah,
Keep in
definitely.
touch. By the way, can I give you a plug, Katie? Because you do this. You're a bit of an illustrator, aren't you? Doing
I
your.
am. This is what I want
Oh,
to do. I want to do something to help people with pain as well. Use my
oh,
skills to do it. So not sure what route I'm going down at the moment. So yes.
Well,
good for you. Awesome.
you talk to me about that. I'll help you with that. All right.
Yeah. Okie doke.
All right,
All
brilliant.
All
right.
right.
Let
Thank
me
you.
stop the recording then. So bye, everyone.
Nice to meet everyone. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Take care,
Thank
Katie.
you.